Okay, well, in order to talk about how to deal with fixing your alpha vibe definitely in an easy way that will give you the alpha vibe in an unlimited way very easily, we will need to use this. Yeah, this is a piano. I bought it especially for the course because I'm not in my main city, so I had to buy it. I have a piano now for just this video. We will use this as an analogy to what's going on in the interaction at the emotional level, and more precisely at the subliminal level. We will understand more about happiness with this and how it comes in the interaction. From this, we will draw understandings that we are going to combine with other concepts that we're going to see later. And once that we will have all of them, we will be able to combine all those new concepts together with the old that we've built before in the course. And in this way, we will have the ultimate tool that fixes your alpha vibe. And then you have the fuel to apply the tools that we've seen. And then we will just make last elements and we will conclude the course. But we need to go through this part to understand. Okay, I'm a beginner at piano. I just started to learn 1 month ago, so don't judge me. I'm just going to use it for very basic things, okay? The best thing I can do is this. Fuck. Fuck, I'm so bad. Okay, well, I'm very bad. Let's use it seriously for the purpose of the course. Okay, so how does it work when you're talking with someone? The elements that get generated in their mind. We will start talking about what we call fields of creativity, and it's so important. It will be so important for this course and for everything you will do after you will have watched the course. Fields of creativity. Let's talk about it. As we said, the mind is governed by the law of momentum. The entire universe works with the law of momentum, actually. Okay, not really, but let's see it this way. The universe will manifest more of what has already been manifested. You see the logic behind. Unless an opposite force comes and stops it. Right? This is just the law of momentum. The same goes with the mind. Actually, when we think about it, the universe only exists in the mind when we think about it. It doesn't really exist in the external world. There is no external world. It all happens in your mind. But let's focus on the psychological element. The more of what is produced in your mind, the more it will get produced again and again. The more you manifest types of elements in your mind, the more your mind will manifest those type of elements. This is how it works. If you know someone who is extremely negative all the time, everything goes wrong in their life because everything that happens generates negative thoughts. And thus it just spirals down. Then it generates other negative thoughts, negative perception. Then they react in a way that is negative. So it generates actually negative results and it spirals down. Someone else in the same situation, in a tragic situation, what its mind is going to do? Generate positive elements from this. Oh, it allows me to do this. He will focus on the positive and he will be happy. Because he will be happy and have positive elements. He will be powerful actually to influence reality. He will have power. There is a book about this, power versus force. The first one lives in force in order to influence reality. This is very difficult. The second one, who is always happy, who always have positive elements in his mind, he uses power to influence reality and it becomes very easy. This is not the only thing. The other thing is that you don't only get momentum in the sense that you get more of what you've produced, you also get momentum. You also have an implication in the sense that the more momentum you have in one direction, the less ability you have to produce from other direction. It will require extended effort. You will even not be able to do it. If you are in a state of profound negativity, you can't find anything positive. You just can't. Your vision is cut. You can't think about something positive. Or at least you can in absolute term, but it will be turned into negative. You can't maintain a positive thought and generate positive from it. At some point of the chain of thoughts, it will turn back to negative. It's like trying to throw a rock on the water, but after 2 or 3 tack, 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 tack on the water, you just get drawn. You can't get to the other side and just have only positive. At some point, it turns back to negative. So you're just stuck. This is the case with positive thoughts, but this is the case as well with any creative constraint, with any set of creative constraints. Not only with the creative constraint of positive elements, it's the case with any field of creative constraint. Let's define it this way. The set of all the elements that exist within a set of constraints. This is called the field of creativity of those constraints. If I set the constraint of positive thoughts, any positive thought that you can have is contained within this creative field of this constraint. This creative field is defined as the sum, the set of all the positive thoughts that can exist, that you can think of, that you can find. Right. This law of momentum will happen with any creative field. The more you produce thought from a fixed creative field, the more your mind will keep producing thoughts from this creative field. And here again, there is this dichotomy between short term and long term. You can get the momentum short term, but at the end, you also have your long term. And the short term, it can only move through a range, as we saw, from your potential maximum short term and your potential minimum short term. Someone who is extremely happy all the time, even if he gets extremely depressed at one moment because of something, he will never be as depressed in this moment as the most depressed dude who is always depressed when he's at the most happy. The happiest short-term moment of someone extremely depressed is still lower than the most depressed moment of someone very happy, because it works on ranges. So you can level up where you are on your range short term, but at the end we want to level up this long term, so the whole range moves. And we move it by influencing it in the short term. The more you learn to go up in your short term range, the more the whole range will tend to adapt, as if the baseline of the range wants to get to where it's the most of the time. So if you're most of the time higher than your baseline will adapt and go up, and all the range will go up. Well, this being said, let's think about a more interesting constraint. Okay, I'm just gonna set a constraint like this, and we're going to talk more extensively about this later. Let's say that imagine that you're talking with a woman, and so you have to generate elements within the natural constraint of an interaction. And you can put the constraint of using the tools that we've seen in the triangle. That's what you will actually have to do, or the constraint of escalation. What if you add the constraint of producing this, but in the context where this woman is very shy, for example? That's basically what we've done with the escalation exercise at the beginning of the course, that you must have been doing every day since, I hope. We set the constraint that no matter what you do, she's in love with you, she loves you no matter what, she's hooked, she's aroused by you, and she wants you to escalate as much as you want. And she will do everything you think about. You can make her do anything, just with your mind, you decide what she does. This was constraint that we can add. Let's go back with the constraint of being shy. If you set this constraint and you try to generate elements in your mind, thoughts, with this constraint. So basically you create an interaction in your mind where the woman is shy. Then you take the constraint off. Now it's a woman, any woman. You even put another constraint. Yeah, now she's a very confident and bitchy woman. She's very mean. But you've been creating momentum with the first constraint. actually uh, you will struggle to find elements that respect this new constraint. Everything she does, for example, she's like, she does something like this with a mean look. You will still have elements that come in your mind about how to answer, which are still contained in the previous creative constraint. So actually, you will only have ideas about how to react to this, as if she was shy and she was in love with you, and you'd be like, fuck, I can't produce through the new creative constraint. But how is it possible? Because she just reacted, she just did something mean, so she is not shy. So how can I have idea about how to answer as if she was shy? Doesn't make sense. Yeah, actually this is because your mind creates what we call rationalization. This is what the brain does when there is a cognitive dissonance, when there is dissonance between what happens in reality and your map of reality, what you were expecting from reality. For example, you go for work, you walk on the street, within your creative constraint, within what you're expecting. There is not going to be a spaceship that comes out of the sky. Now, what if there is a spaceship that comes out of the sky? Fuck, it might be a dream. Come on, it's a dream. Fuck, that's a fucking dream. What's going on? You will not believe it. You will think it's a dream at first, because there is so much cognitive dissonance. That's what the brain will do to maintain the actual map. It will try to see explanation of what's going on, which maintain the previous map of reality. Fuck, in my actual map, in what I predicted, this can't happen. Before throwing to the garbage my map, I'm very invested in this map. It used to work. I'm going to go through a lot of insecurity about the world, about knowing how things work. If now I accept that, okay, there is aliens with a spaceship that just arrived, it's going to be very fearful to live in this new reality. It will take a lot of time to understand how this works, the new implications. So before going there, let's check out if maybe there is not an explanation that maintains the previous map, so I don't have to switch. Yeah, it's a dream. Of course, it happens in dream. Yeah. It's a dream. So this is still in my map. I don't have to change my map. The same happened at a smaller scale. You are expecting her to be shy, for example. Now she's like, well, that's not what I was predicting. Before considering that I was wrong, just before, let's just check if there is not an explanation. If I don't find, okay, I will consider that I might have been wrong. But before bothering with that, it's going to create fear to have to change my map. Let's just find if I can't find an explanation. Maybe she's doing it as a technique in order to make it look like she's not intimidated. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe she thinks I'm joking. Maybe she thinks I'm trying to make her believe that I'm attracted, while in reality I'm not. And this is just in order to be able to, after, be like, haha, you really thought I was interested. You're ugly. And then I'm going to run away. Maybe she thinks I'm going to do this. And so she's like, you think I don't see what you're going to do? I know you're not interested in me. And now you're like, maybe that's what she thinks. So now you have explanations about why she might be doing this, but which still is within your creative field. So you don't have to change creative field. You don't have to switch to other constraints. That's what the mind will do by default at first. And this is a huge door that we have through the concept of frame control. What is frame control? Everything happens, everything is an interpretation, but reality actually. We just gave multiple interpretation of why a girl might look at you and do pff. We just gave multiple explanation, multiple different interpretations. Has it happened to you that in a certain case you do something and people explode in laughter? They love it. In other case you do the same thing and people are like, because they had two different interpretations based on their past, their model of reality, their map of reality, what they already think about you, what they believe about you, what they believe about the world. So they will interpret differently the reasons why you're doing it. They will interpret differently the happiness or suffering contained in it. We talked about it before. You escalate. She will interpret differently a lot of things. She will interpret differently the consequences of it. And in order to be able to do this, in order to be able to interpret what it means, actually this is the same as with creative constraint. To be able to create in a way that is not overwhelming. We don't have infinite creativity right now. We need to set boundaries, constraint. Here is the same. To be able to interpret from all the possible interpretation. Yeah, maybe she does because she's an alien and she's afraid that you're going to find out that she's an alien. Come on, if we start to see all possible interpretations, there is infinite number. This is way too difficult. So we set frames of interpretation. This is like the Russian dolls, you know, the matryoshkas, one inside the other. For example, a frame of interpretation could be, okay, she is shy, so that's a frame of interpretation. And then everything she does will go through this frame that sets a boundary, and now you can interpret through a smaller range. Okay, I don't have to interpret from every possibilities. I interpret inside this frame of she's shy, and coming from she is shy, how can I interpret this? Okay, now you can be creative and find interpretation. Before, if you don't have this frame, you have to interpret the situation. You will have your first interpretations, like for example, yeah, she's just mean, and now I tell you, yeah, find other interpretations about why she did this. Well, you have no idea, you can find. Okay, use this frame, she's shy. You know she's shy. No, she's not shy. Look at what she just did. Yeah, she is shy. Now try to interpret why she did this. In this case, yeah, maybe because this, maybe because this, maybe because this. This is basically creative constraint. Frame of interpretation are creative constraints in the field of interpretations. This is a subset of creative constraints. This is the frames of interpretations, which allow you to find interpretations. And there is many levels of frames, one around the other. For example, a huge frame of interpretation is that she's a woman. She's not, it's not a man disguised in a woman, you know. You come from this frame of interpretation. You could interpret that. Maybe in this case, you will find new interpretation. If I say, okay, now, she's a transsexual. It was a man, now she's a woman. Well, now you might interpret things differently, but you're not coming from that frame of interpretation. You have a big frame of, no, it's always been a woman, okay, right? That's not an alien. She's confident. She has a lot of success with men. Those kind of basic things, okay? And from all of those bigger frames, you will find the little elements, the punctual elements, the spontaneous elements about why she does this precise action, why she does this precise facial expression, why she has this precise emotional reaction, why she didn't talk back at this moment. You can interpret the little details because around you have bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger frames. So when you go through the levels until the smaller, now there is enough layers of constraints so that you can be creative, and within those constraints find explanation, interpretations. Do you see how it is? Like tack, 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 tack until the smaller. You take your hand and then you can find interpretation. If you don't have those frames, you're like, shit, there is too much. I can find interpretation. Oh, okay, clack. Okay, here I can find interpretation. That's how it is. What if we switch those frames of interpretation? What if we set different constraints about it? For example, as I said, new constraint, she's shy. Okay, well, click. So this constraint is different. And you start building momentum with this frame. In your mind, for example, you do exercise in your mind. It works. Let's say you're on the street and for like half an hour you're extremely focused, and in your mind you're doing the exercise, you're visualizing and trying to make interactions in your head. So you come up with things to say, with things to do. You are being creative, you are doing it in your head with women that are all very shy. You create this momentum of creativity inside this creative field, which is constrained by a lot of frames of interpretation, but among them, this one, that they are shy. Now you're like, okay, you know what? Let's just approach a real woman. Let's do it. You will approach. What will happen? And it's shocking. It's that the elements that will come to your mind of what to say in order to answer. She will do something, and no matter what she says, if she does, even really, they will do things that in a normal case scenario, you will interpret as she's not interested. And in this case, because you have this momentum of this creative field, which is very smart, because most of the things that are going to come from this creative field are going to be aligned with the fact that she might like you. We will talk about this later as well, don't worry. And so everything she does, even if she's like, for example, she's like, okay, wait, I just have to go home. You will be like, oh, this is so cute, she's shy. She's getting shy. This is so cute. You will think this. Now, how to handle this? You're not going to say, oh, you say this because you're shy. This would be what we call frame control in the technical way. It doesn't work. Doing this doesn't work. Doesn't work. But that's actually not what you will do. Someone will do it if he's trying to put the frame. If he thinks that she's not interested and he wants to manipulate the things and make her know that he doesn't interpret this way, then he will say this kind of thing. But this is extremely obvious. This is not a powerful frame control. We want to show that we interpret things in one way, but in a more powerful way. That's what it will be about. We'll talk about it. But yeah, so you will interpret through this frame of interpretation. Now, think about it. If you have a huge database of a lot of different frames of interpretations, it can be about social norm as well. For example, another frame would be the fact that everybody is socially awkward. Everybody is. No one really knows how to be effective at dating. Women, they are awkward with men. Men, they are awkward with women. But it still works because this is very easy. Women just like to be approached by men. When women are with friends of them, the friends, they love when a girl gets approached because, yeah, it's funny. And it just happens all the time. This is a norm. And women love it. Now you try to set momentum in your mind of interacting with this creative constraint. It's like interacting in a parallel reality. What happens? What happens when you do this? Then you will interact with a real woman right after. The same will happen. Everything you will do will come from this creative field around this frame of interpretation of the social norms. And so actually, because it is a very smart constraint, it is smart in the way that it will generate behaviors and ideas that are aligned with the outcome of getting her attracted. We will talk about this later, don't worry. So, what if you had a huge database of a lot of the more powerful constraints, the most powerful creative constraints, the more powerful frames of interpretations that you can train with? That's what you will get in this product. I will give you this database, and I will give you the best of the best so you can practice with it. Now consider something else. When you do this, what happens? There is what is called self-fulfilling prophecy with reality. It's just a question of probability, of statistics. It's funny how reality is made in this harmonious way, which is that when you expect something, when you think that something is true, when you believe something, for example, when you believe this second frame that we talked about the social norms, or the first one, that this woman is going to be shy. What happens is that if you think she's going to be shy, you will interact with her as if you think she is. She will feel a kind of pressure, like then he thinks I'm shy. As well, you will not be very intimidated, so you will be very confident, so you will be creative, you will not be afraid. You will be very positive, you will be very happy when you talk with her, very compassionate. You will send a lot of positive. You will be very caring. For all those reasons, she will see you as being a really high happiness container for her. In this regard, is going to make her want you. In this regard, she will start to feel like there is a stake. There is a stake. She has to perform in the right way because otherwise she loses you. So she might get a bit anxious, and so she might actually get shy even if she's not. What is it doing? It reinforces your belief. You will never know that she's not shy. Basically, you got her shy by thinking she is shy. She was not, but you turn her into being shy by thinking she is. And so you will never know she was not, but you will believe she was. So you're like, yeah, I was right from the start. The other thing, the social norm, if you believe this, the same, you don't care about feeling awkward, you don't care about not knowing what to say, you don't care about not being attractive enough. You're like, yeah, this is the norm. Everybody is awkward. She always have awkward interaction, but she still love it because this is how it is used to be done. Yeah, so why would I care? Let's just do it. Hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm awkward. Yeah, cool. And then she's like, well, he's so alpha. He is actually very alpha. He doesn't give a shit. Fighter vibe. He's fun. He's very fun because he doesn't take himself seriously. Remember, fun and ego, this is opposite. When the ego gets stronger, the fun disappears. When the ego gets not, when you don't care about protecting your ego, then you have access to more fun. So because you don't take yourself seriously at all, you're actually very funny. Just your vibe. You will just have funny things that happen in your mind because you will not try to cling to a rigid thing. Your mind will be able to merge realities together, remember, naturally. And remember, one of the things that are funny are precisely going against the ego. So you come like, hey, in a way that you feel kind of awkward. So it makes yourself laugh of yourself. So you're in this funny mood. And so there is this threatening vibe, remember, despite you. Also, it shows social power because you just expect them to react well. Remember, it also shows sexual preselection because, well, you woke up to a woman, you don't give a shit. You're entitled, like, hey, how are you? And you expect her to just react well. Sexual preselection. So she actually thinks, whoa, he's so alpha. What the hell? What the heck? This guy is very alpha. alpha vibe, very high sexual mating value. Oh, and so now she gets attracted, she likes you, and she flirts with you, and she becomes sexual with you. But you were awkward, right? You approached while feeling awkward. And what did she do? She started being sexual with you, she liked you, she laughed with you, everything goes perfectly. Isn't that what you believed would happen? And so here again, what you were expecting to happen happened, while it was not true. Your belief was not true. It was not true. Your belief, that's not the norm. You were delusional. You believed something that was not true. But actually, everything happens as if it's true, so you keep believing it. And this is the huge thing about reality and the ego, and the fact that we are tangled into one way of seeing things. This is self-fulfilling prophecy. It happens with everything. Basically, every belief we have is not true. Any belief is wrong. It's just that reality reacts for most of things the way that we believe it will react. We just explained, we just demonstrated with those two words how reality will behave the way you expect it to be within those two frames of interpretation, even if they are not true. So at the end of the day, your entire reality is just generated by what you believe, actually. That's how it is. At the end of the day, who knows what is the truth? No one knows. Did it never happen to you to be with a woman? You become, okay, it goes around sexual topics, and she's like, yeah, come on, I'm not searching for this kind of things. And there is this kind of frame of interpretation that is set that, women in general, they don't want this kind of thing. They are more into serious thing, relationship. They don't want a one-night stand, this kind of thing. And then another time, and you're like, yeah, shit, she's right. Actually, I'm an asshole because that's not what women want. I'm just being selfish. Then you're with another woman, and it goes the other way around. Don't talk me about serious relationship. This is shit. I'm very happy to be single. Women are free, you know. Women are free. We are in the 21st century. What the hell are you talking about? Women don't want a relationship more than men. Come on, shut the fuck up. And then you're like, yeah. Actually, she's right. Yeah, women are like men. 21st century, women are free. Yeah, women just want to have fun, right? So actually, because just the person with who you are, they influence your reality. You get influenced. You get influenced by the frames of others. And so in the end, this as well helps to make what you believe be true. Because, for example, you approach a woman by thinking that approaching in an awkward way without knowing what to say, and just being pretty direct and start escalating even if you're awkward, and that women love it and this is the norm. If you believe this to be true, let's say you do it with a woman. She's at the nightclub with her friends, women and men, and she's the not very social woman of the group. She's not very used to go out. She doesn't really like to flirt with men. This is not her thing. She's not really into it. So actually the opposite. Pretty much opposite of this belief. Now you come up to her with this belief and you act accordingly. And you really believe it strongly. You really believe it's true. Now, even if she doesn't like it, she's going to get influenced. She doesn't have much experience about nightclubs, about social life, not that much. Her beliefs are not that fixed, not that strong. You come up with stronger beliefs, even if they are wrong. Now she thinks, yeah, actually I can be mean with him and I can't react in a mean way to the fact that he comes and starts escalating, because actually this is the norm. Yeah, I see in his behavior, I see in his beliefs, in his reality that, yeah, it's just the norm. That's how people usually work. So even if she rejects you, she will do it in a very nice way. I'm sorry, I'm just not interested, yeah, of course, I'm a bit shy and I'm not too much in this kind of things. And she will reject you in a nice way because she thinks you're doing what is normal. She will not think, what the fuck is he doing? She will think, yeah, this is the norm. He's doing what is normal, so I am the problem. Let's be nice with him. He's just being normal. Because you believe it's normal. Otherwise, you think it's not normal. You think approaching women is very bad. It's very bad. It gets them angry. They are sick of getting approached by men. They want to slap them. Now you see a hot girl, very attractive, in the nightclub. You're thinking, damn, she must be approached all the time. She must be sick of getting approached. And now you approach her with this belief. What happens? You have so many bad expectations. So many bad expectations. First, everything you're going to interpret in her reaction. Even if she likes you, let's say she turns to you, she listens to you, and she smiles. She looks at you in the eyes. You will think, she view me as a kid trying to do something cute. Shit, and you feel bad. You start feeling bad. Everything that happens will be from a creative field that is contained in the bigger creative field of negative elements. So you will just feel bad. You will not have proper reaction that entail you to escalate. You will not escalate in this case. You will be too afraid to escalate. But remember, that's what she wants from you. That's one of the higher value. That's what it's all about. Moreover, in nightclub, where there is a lot of happiness everywhere, you have to be competing with this happiness, and sexual arousal is a necessity for this. Moreover, you're not fun at all. You're not being creative. You're stuck. You have no happiness to give. So even if at first she was interested, you couldn't see it. First, you couldn't see it, and everything will act accordingly. She will start to get disinterested, actually. And yeah, how do you perceive this? Yeah, I got blown out. That's what. Because she got approached all the time, and this is reality. This is not a belief. This is just reality. Look how she reacted. She looked at me with a smile as if I was ridiculous, and then she was like, "Yeah, sorry," and she walked away. Yeah, this is reality. What are you talking about? Women like to be approached by awkward men who start escalating. What the fuck are you talking about? She's going to slap me if I do it. Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy. Moreover than this, there is like a meta interpretation frame. There is this thing that is very funny, which is that the simple fact that you interpret things in a way gives informations. For example, think back of the second example we gave of you approach this woman in an awkward manner and you're just like, hey, yeah, how are you? And you start escalating. You don't take yourself seriously. You think it's the norm. We explained that it shows things. It entails things that I don't know why reality is made in this way. I don't know why reality happens to create self-fulfilling prophecy. This is basically the reasons why I started to be spiritual and to believe in things like there is an order in reality and it's going somewhere. It's not because I believe in religion or things like this. No, it's just because I saw from mathematics. It's mathematic. I saw that shit all the time when we demonstrate what's going on. There is always this harmony that happens in so many different fields, in so many different manners, but it always happens to get to the same rules. The rules, they merge together, and the higher we get in the efficiency of the rules we use, the more everything merges together. It's like mathematics. That's why I started to believe in and to be interested in more spiritual stuff. I saw this happening and I thought, well, it's just too big. It can't be probability. Look, we just gave 4 different examples in which the chains of causality are very different. They are completely different, but they always show the same rule, self-fulfilling prophecy, even if the chains of causality is completely different. But the rule is always here. Can be probability. There is a harmony in reality. This is a fact, actually. But maybe it's, again, a belief. I get influenced by this belief that I started to have, and so now self-fulfilling prophecy. I see them everywhere, and if I started to believe the opposite, I will see everywhere that it doesn't work. So yeah, once again, I just believe that every belief is an illusion. But at the end of the day, the question is not what is true or what is not true. Everything is wrong. Everything is an illusion anyway. And even thinking that it's an illusion is an illusion. So yeah, at the end of the day, just thinking is an illusion. Let's just be Buddha and meditate. But at the end of the day, the question is not, is it true or not? The question is it smart or not? That's the question. Is it efficient to believe this? Let's set our beliefs not around what is true or not, but what is efficient. And actually, I believe that it's the way to get to the truth, actually. It's just to observe what beliefs lead to efficient results, gets us to where we want to go. And then the more we discover those beliefs, and the more it happens to look like they are true. Okay, anyway, it's getting way too spiritual. What I wanted to say is that there is this example where you approach this woman. Because of those causalities that you talked about, she's like, damn, he's fucking alpha, and so she starts flirting with you, and she's interested with you. And the same, the friends, they see that you don't take yourself seriously, that you're fun, that you don't look like you have ego. So actually they are like, damn, this guy seems fun. Yeah, Sophia, flirt with him, he's funny, yeah. Do your thing, we're going to have a drink, have a good time, and they will leave you alone. Because they like you. They think you're funny. Yeah, this guy, I like this guy. This is good that, it would be good if Sophia hangs out with this guy because I actually like him. I think it's a good choice. It just depends on if she's attracted or not. It's down to her, but actually I could be friends with this guy. He's funny. He sounds funny. He looks well intentioned. He doesn't have ego. Yeah. If you hang out with him, it will be good. I could be friends with this guy actually. So, yeah. And actually, the friend might even ask you to come to after party with them, and they will say, yeah, if you want with Sophia, okay. We have this room in the apartment. If at some point it gets very hot between you, you can go there with her. Yeah, don't worry, bro. Yeah, nice to meet you. And they will help you because they just like you. So everything happens accordingly to what you believed would happen. Self-fulfilling prophecy. It's really funny. It's obsessing. It's obsessing that it works. Just obsessing why it... I don't know, just obsessing. Right. But moreover than this, there is even something more. There is like a more meta thing. A bit more meta over this. When you're doing this, and let's say that at some points, at first she doesn't react well, she doesn't like it. And she sees that you interpret differently. She sees the meta dynamic. She sees why you have this behavior. She sees that it's because you interpret differently. Well, actually this in itself gives informations. If he has this belief, okay, he seems to be interpreting things this way. He seems to think that it's normal to just approach, even if you're awkward, and just be entitled to just escalate and expect the girl to be into it. He seems to think it's normal. Why the hell would he think it's normal? Because he must have had always this kind of experience in the past. He must always have had women get into him, even if it's just at 5% of his ability, which means being awkward. So even being awkward, women get into him. So how high is his potential? Damn, actually it gives me the information that this man has crazy level of sexual preselection. And actually, he also happened to have the positive other things for my ego. He's not threatening in the term of ego. Fun, good time. He doesn't seem dangerous in the. You have to be threatening in the term of alphaness, but he's not dangerous in real terms, like in the term of. Doesn't look like he's going to rape me or something like this, you know? Damn, it gives me a lot of informations. Okay, let's actually flirt with him. This is enough. So, even the fact of interpreting differently, this in itself is going to give the informations that themselves imply the self-fulfilling prophecy to happen. And we are going to play a lot with this. We are going to play a lot with this. Okay. Let's finally I didn't use the piano on this video. Yeah. Yeah. This piano sounds so bad. Look at that. Listen to this. It sounds so bad. Yeah, I just bought it the cheaper there was. I couldn't expect better. Yeah, okay, right. We will use it on the next video, I hope.